Things are gonna get crazy!
Most everyone's mad here.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. How are you all doing, everyone? I hope you all had a great weekend, and especially, I hope you all had a very nice Halloween. I know that there's been a whole lot of stuff that has happened since the last time that we were here, but don't worry, I am all good, and I am ready to go and bring this show back so we can have some true extra fun. And also, before we go and officially begin this, I just want to go and give a special shout out to you all, and I just want to say thank you. Considering several days ago, I have had my charity stream where I teamed up with Gamers Outreach again in order to temporarily bring back AniMat Plays so that we would go and play Super Mario Bros. Wonder. And while I wouldn't say that I've reached my initial goal of raising $1,000, we did, however, manage to raise $500. And a lot of it, I gotta say, is thanks to you. So I just want to go and make a statement that I would like to say thank you all for joining on me for that stream, and also thank you to those who have contributed to the charity. It will be going to a great cause. We will be giving more smiles to kids in hospitals. So that's just something that I want to mention since the last episode of the podcast. So thank you. And also another thing that I would like to go and bring up is that I did do a little bit of updates since the last episode, where I know there were a few minor things that didn't fully work as much as I wanted in terms of this new big update of the podcast. But trust me, I have managed to sort all that out so that now everything should be running smoothly. And especially for those of you who are watching this live on Twitch, the good news is that I did manage to gain back control of when to go and place ads. They're not going to be jumping in randomly. Now I got control. They will be happening at the right time, at the right moment. So at least I got everything sorted. Everything shall be fixed. Alright, but with that said and done, we still got one heck of an episode to get into, with plenty of many animation and entertainment related stories that we will be getting to talk about, and we will be having lots of fun. So with that said and done, I would like to go into the chat wall, and it's time that I would like to ask you all, are you ready for today's episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast? Let me go and hear it, folks. Are we all prepared? Let's see. Yes? Oh, okay, yeah. I am seeing people are prepared. That is wonderful. That is great to see. All right, so I believe with that said and done, it is now time that we shall officially go and get things started. And with our first story that I have for you today, we are going to be talking about Disney. Now, as we all know, business has not really been going well for Disney, especially after the calamity of last year under the supervision of Bob Chapek. And come to think of it, actually, we are soon going to be entering into the first year anniversary of Bob Chapek being kicked out and now being replaced by Bob Iger. Now, is that a good thing? Have we seen any improvements since that moment? Well, I mean, that could be highly debatable, because let me tell you, there's been a lot of baggage since that time. But anyways, going back to what I was talking about, yes, business has not necessarily been going smoothly for Disney, especially when it comes to the whole business of streaming. However, it looks like there has been one massive twist, a very unexpected move from Disney, to which they have revealed that even though things have not been looking well for them, they're not going to be going down without a fight. And just on a side note, it looks like the live stream has a hype train going on. And thank you for all the subscriptions there from J Monty, from KS19, from Rec in Silence. Thank you all so much. Let's keep that hype up going, and let's keep it going as we are getting into our first story as we talk about the Hulu acquisition. Yes, the Walt Disney Company has announced that they are going to be purchasing the remaining stake in Hulu so that now they can fully acquire it. Now, in the past, what happened was that Disney was only a majority shareholder. Like, they don't technically own the entirety of Hulu, they just owned most of it. And what the fridge is going on here? Oh wow, we even got a bigger hype train going on. Oh, that is beautiful. That is just so much fun to see. All right, let's just keep that going. Let's go more. But anyways, as I was saying, going back into the main subject over here, yes, Disney was only a majority shareholder where they only owned 2/3 of Hulu. The other 33% was owned by Comcast. However, that seemed to have changed when Disney decided that they want to own the entirety of Hulu and decided to go and make a deal with Comcast, or specifically with NBC Universal, where they are going to be owning it and take the rest of Hulu for $8.61 billion. Yes, that is a billion with a B. So this is yet another major acquisition by the Walt Disney Company under the leadership of Bob Chapek. In fact, to go and read you more into the whole acquisition of what they're doing, going straight into my source on the Walt Disney Company website, it states here, under the terms of the put call arrangement by December 1st, Disney expects it will pay NBC Universal approximately $8.61 billion, representing NBCU's percentage of the $27.5 billion guaranteed floor value for Hulu that was set when the companies entered into their agreement in 2019, minus the anticipating outstanding capital call contribution payable by NBCU to Disney. Under the appraisal process agreed to by Disney and Comcast, Hulu's equity fair value will be assessed as of September 30th, 2023. And if the value is ultimately determined to be greater than the guaranteed floor value, Disney will pay NBCU its percentage of the difference between the equity fair value and the guaranteed floor value. While the timing of this appraisal process is uncertain, we anticipate it should be completed during the 2024 calendar year. So this is just an announcement that they are going to be doing it, but when it's going to be official, well, it's going to be sometime maybe in 2024. At the same time, some people and some analysts did get a little bit confused, and they were wondering what the fridge does this all mean and what the fridge is Disney doing. So going into my source here on The Hollywood Reporter, there have been some speculations that have been going around. Specifically, like in this little section, just to go and highlight this to you. As it states, again, reading from my source on The Hollywood Reporter, Disney CEO Bob Iger has signaled that he wants to refocus the company on its beloved content brands from Pixar and Marvel to Lucasfilm, including family and kids fare. Asked on CNBC in February of 2023 what that means for Hulu, he says, "Everything is on the table right now, so I am not going to speculate whether we are a buyer or a seller of it. But I obviously have suggested that I'm concerned about undifferentiated general entertainment content, particularly in the competitive landscape that we are operating in." Moffett-Nathanson analysts Craig Moffett and Michael Nathanson tried to read between the lines. Writing a report back then, Disney CEO Bob Iger was notably non-committal about Disney buying, and he was notably evasive about Disney selling. Comcast had been charismatically silent. Let the speculation begin. But he and most other analysts have since seen Comcast as the natural seller of its Hulu stake. So they were pretty much saying that they knew very well that eventually Comcast was going to sell the rest of their Hulu stake, but they didn't know who or if they would really want to go and do it for Disney. So what does this all mean? Why is this particular story really worth talking about? Well, the whole scenario is that for a while, or at least for a good chunk of 2023, a lot of people have speculated that maybe there is a possibility that Disney could be dividing its divisions and start to actually sell instead of actually buy. That business has not been particularly so great, and that maybe we will see Disney letting go of some of their biggest assets. There have been rumors floating around about the possibility that maybe Disney would go and sell the entirety of ABC, or even in terms of streaming, considering that things have not been going well in the streaming business for them, down to the point that you probably know that there is currently more than one lawsuit happening where investors felt like they were being screwed over and felt like they've been lied to in terms of the numbers for Disney Plus, especially from the big heads like Bob Iger, Bob Chapek, and holy crap, it's just looking at what's been going on so far with Twitch, and it looks like I just see all the little notifications saying like, oh my god, you did it, yay, hooray. But anyways, going back to what I was talking about, yes, okay, so the rumors. So they said that maybe they would sell ABC, and of course there's all the lawsuits that's been going on with the defendants, including Bob Chapek, Bob Iger, and many of the other top executives at Disney. So a lot of people were thinking maybe there is also a possibility that Disney could end up selling Hulu because, well, so far it's not been looking great for them in the streaming wars, and that they're pretty much lagging behind, or at least lagging behind compared to some of the other companies like Netflix, Amazon, Apple, and more. But it looks like with the move that they have just pulled off over here, that might have changed, actually. Or at least in terms of what they want to do, their motivation per se. That they know that things have not been going great, but they're not going to go down without a fight. In fact, this is a call for them to go and double down. But it is weird, though, especially with the fact that when you really do think about it, it's just a little bit unusual that you would hear about how Disney is just trying to save money. You probably do recall that Bob Iger has made the announcement at the beginning of the year that what he wanted to do was to go and try to save up $5.5 billion for the Walt Disney Company, which unfortunately meant thousands of layoffs, several projects on Disney Plus just being pulled off, and just many other cost-saving tactics that they would go and do. But then there's this case over here with the Hulu acquisition, or at least with the rest of its stake, where Disney decided to look at this and go, hey, can I have the rest of that? Can I just have all of Hulu for me? Yeah, how much would that cost? $8.6 billion? Yeah, I can afford that. Yeah, sure, take my money. But I think the big thing of what this means, like what the big idea of what Disney is trying to do is that as they are aware that business has not been working out, it looks like deep within the company, there might be a major strategy that they are going to do to really change things up in order to make their streaming platforms exciting again, specifically for both Hulu and Disney Plus, and that they are going to be changing things up in order to go and grab audiences' attention, in order to ensure that they keep their subscriptions, that they don't go away and disperse into other places. And if Hulu is not enough to go and prove this, then I know something that has. I know that there is actually one thing that recently came out that many people got really excited over. This is the one thing that started to be the first major signal that things are about to change with Disney's streaming plan. And you might have seen it, actually. What I'm talking about is the Echo trailer. You probably know the trailer that recently came out of Echo, which is one of the new upcoming MCU series that's going to be coming out on Disney Plus and on Hulu, surprisingly. But the big thing and the big reason why I brought up Echo is because it is going to be the first ever MCU series, or probably the first ever MCU project that is going to be rated R. And how they presented it in the trailers, they showed you that, yeah, this ain't going to be any silly kid stuff. This ain't going to be the same goofy attitude like you just recently saw with Thor Love and Thunder. No, they're going to be taking things seriously. They showed Kingpin with a bloody hand. Like, they actually made Kingpin imposing, intimidating, and really threatening again in the same way that they did in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. This is the first time in years that people felt scared about Kingpin. And from there, it really signaled that, yeah, things are now about to change. That now it looks like the strategies, not just for Disney's streaming plan, but for their franchises, such as the MCU, they're going to take things more seriously. And now, as weird as this may sound now, Disney is starting to become more open in terms of adult content. They're not going to be using the other logos, such as 20th Century, to go and hide the fact that it is from Disney. Like, this right here is an MCU project. There's nowhere to hide to go and say that this is technically a Disney series. And now they're being unapologetically violent about it. They're being unapologetically mature, down to the point where at the end of that trailer, they even say that if you're planning to see this on Disney Plus, then make sure you change up the setting so that you're allowed to go and watch adult content such as the upcoming Echo series. And from there, it got people really excited to go and watch the trailer again. And that seems to be only the beginning of what we could be seeing from the Walt Disney Company and their plan of what they want to do with streaming. This could be a bit of a hint that for 2024, they want to go and really turn things around, where now they're going to be providing some new surprises to go and make things exciting for Disney Plus. So I feel like overall, from what we have seen with both the Echo trailer and with this major acquisition from Hulu, I think it pretty much states that Disney is well aware that things are not going well with their streaming business, but they are not going down without a fight. They want to be a competitor. They want to make sure that they can be a serious threat to Netflix, or be at the point where they can go and surpass Netflix, like beat them at their own game. And this is a first major step. The fact that now they're going to fully acquire Hulu. Now that they're going to go and start considering to go and create more adult content, and that they're not even going to hide the Disney label with it. Yeah, I think this is going to be a bit of a new chapter for what's going to be happening in the world of Disney. I think this is going to be something that I'm just going to say it. We're going to have to keep an eye out on what's going to be happening with Disney, what kind of content they're going to be bringing out with both Hulu and with Disney Plus, and in terms of the projects that they're going to be bringing out for their movies. You never know, like with the MCU, yeah, that's going to be the first step of like entering into the rated R market. I mean, it's not just with that, but technically they also got Deadpool 3 that's coming out that is also going to be R-rated. But you never know if in the future that maybe Disney is going to consider that they are going to go and make they're going to make Star Wars content that could be R-rated as well, or maybe even like some of their animated stuff that they could consider, like maybe create content for older kids. I'm not saying like give me an R-rated Disney animated feature, but at least take some steps and like give us the first ever PG-13 Disney animated feature, or maybe something from Pixar as well. Who knows? But like so far, we have now seen the door really open to some new material that Disney is going to provide us, and that this could be a new chapter in Disney for some people. Might be pretty exciting. And just to let you know, they're not giving up on their family-friendly content, but it seems that now they're going to be a lot more open in terms of creating things for adults, like legit, like unironically create Disney adult content, a phrase that once upon a time was unheard of. All right, so with that said and done, I would like to go into the chat wall. Oh, no, wait, no. Where the fridge am I going? The chat wall right over here. And I would like to ask you all, what do you think about the Hulu acquisition now that they're fully owning Hulu and that now they're going to be more open with making adult content? I would love to know what you think on this one. Let's see what we got here. I don't think it's really that surprising that Disney would buy, considering how Disney already owned a good amount of Hulu. It makes sense they would buy the rest of it, and while I will admit that I'm looking forward to seeing more mature content on Disney Plus like Echo, so hopefully this will work out. However, I have to ask, if they can buy Hulu, they can't pay their actors because why exactly? Because money! Because capitalism! That's how it is! More money for them and less money for you. That's that's honestly my best answer that I can give to that. Okay, anyways, let's see what else we got here. I knew Disney was going to buy the rest of Hulu from Comcast eventually, but the time the acquisition is complete, I do wonder if Disney is going to shut that Hulu by combining this and Disney Plus together in the US so they can have their remaining subscribers and adult content together. They did it over on Flaming Hot and the recent Goosebumps in having both platforms at the same time as of late. And if the acquisition is complete, will Disney do so in the future? I mean, honestly, it is interesting what you're bringing up because technically there are some countries that have already done that. And I can speak as a Canadian that we already have this, that technically there is no Hulu in Canada. Like all the Hulu stuff technically is on Disney Plus. So we kind of have a combination of the two. And if we want to go and watch some of the Hulu content, like either Futurama or Family Guy or whatever would come out on Hulu, like Prey and stuff like that, then we would just go on Disney Plus. And I guess Disney would be if that would be the case, then I can imagine Disney would go and look into those countries like in Canada, how well that would work. And maybe we will see if they're going to go and plan to make a bit of a combination between Disney Plus and Hulu for the United States. That remains to be seen, honestly, but that is a good theory. I will give you credit on that. Let's see. I'm going to remain a little on the fence about this buyout. Granted, it'll be funny to see My Name is Earl on the same platform as Bluey, but considering how it went when Warner Brothers merged with Discovery, it's hard not to feel worried. I doubt it'll be that bad, but still a little worried. But if there's one bright spot with this, it's having that this could lead to Kingdom Hearts 4 having Family Guy and World, baby! No, but honestly, I think that might be a bit of an exaggeration that you have made there. Like, I understand the fear about mergers and synergy and stuff like that, but this is not a case. This is just Disney buying the rest of something that they already own the majority of. What you're thinking about is you're having two big companies merging together. Like, a scenario that would be concerning like that would be if Disney and Apple would decide to go and make a massive merger. But this is not really the case here. This is just another of one of Disney's big billion-dollar purchases. That's really all that this is. Anyways, what else do we have here? For a company that's supposedly gone broke because they went woke, Disney sure has a lot of money to throw around. If this is the last acquisition made under Iger's leadership, I can't think of a better thing for Disney to buy than the remainder of their other major streaming service. Looks like Disney is really getting serious about streaming, and I'm happy for that. Whoever succeeds Iger, I hope they stick to his buy all the things playbook. It has been working really well for them. And I know that technically some people could say it's a very controversial strategy and some people are no fans of that whatsoever, but you cannot deny that it works. Like, Disney wouldn't be the big empire that it is today if it weren't for Iger's major acquisitions such as Pixar, Marvel, Lucasfilm, 20th Century, and now the rest of Hulu. All right, I think I'll read two or one more comment, and then we'll have our first break. I feel like this could potentially happen, that Disney would sell Hulu and completely ignore them like a stepchild. But I'm glad in the case that Disney Plus are doing more mature stuff. I just hope Echo is really good and doesn't do anything wrong just to keep that TVMA rating. So far, I'm still an MCU fan, and I'm glad the R-rated stuff is still happening in the MCU, especially Deadpool 3. I just hope we do get some Disney animation stuff more for adults. So F yeah. Yeah, and I know that some people have mentioned here that technically it's not just going to be Deadpool 3 and Echo that's going to be R-rated. They do have some more R-rated content that will be coming soon, including a Blade movie that will be happening. So we will see. We will see with how it goes. Oh, we actually do have an interesting one here. All right, there we go. I'm really glad that they're trying to lean into vulgarity, explicitness when people are looking into it. They need to make sure they appeal to markets that they don't technically agree with. Maybe Inside Out 2 will be more PG-13 due to Riley getting older. We can hope. I don't know. I mean, like, I don't know if they're going to do it with any of their, like, existing properties. I don't think Inside Out 2 is suddenly going to become a little bit more adult. I don't think we're going to see either, like, Inside Out 2 get a PG-13 or even, like, suddenly Frozen 3 is going to be R rating. I don't think it's going to happen at all. Like, if Disney would have to go and start with their animated content to make some mature stuff, it has to be a new original thing, and they got to take small steps where they got to go and, like, enter into a bit of the PG-13 realm and then, like, go ahead until they reach to that hard R. All right, so with that said, we're going to go on to our first break. And when we do come back, we are going to be discussing about the inevitable. Considering that it's been so many days that the strike is still going on, well, I mean, it was only a matter of time that we start to see some more delays. So stay tuned for the next story. And welcome back, folks. Now, when it comes to our next story, let's go and give out a little bit of an update on what's going on with the actor strike. Yes, unfortunately, even if we are in a new month in November, the actor strike is still going on. As I am recording this, the current update of what is going on with that is that now studios and actors are still in negotiations. It's been several days so far. They've been talking back and forth about a brand new deal, and apparently studios have made a major offer to the actors, and currently they are reviewing it to ensure and see if it's actually something that might actually work for the actors and see where it can go from there. Like, it's only a matter of time until we know the true answer if the strike will still be going on or if they officially have a deal. But because the strike is still happening and that it's been several months now that the actor strike is still continuing, I mean, let alone this whole big streak of strikes that are going on, this whole thing here, well, unfortunately, it's inevitable. It has to happen. So sing along with me, folks. What happened recently since not just last week, but also ever since the last episode of the podcast? Ta-ra-ra, boom delays, ta-ra-ra, boom delays, ta-ra-ra, boom delays, ta-ra-ra, boom delays. Yes, folks, studios have decided that they are gonna be delaying. And not only that, but they have also stated that it is primarily because of the strike that is still going on that they decided that, well, they have no choice but to go and take some of their big name movies and they have to go and delay that. Some of which had to be pushed down to 2025. And the first one to go and make their list of delays is actually Paramount, to which they have announced that their next big movie with Mission Impossible, which is Dead Reckoning Part 2, is going to be moved from 2024 to 2025. Specifically, originally it was planned to be released on June 28th of next year, but now they are going to be pushing that back to May 23rd, 2025. And on that June 28th release date, they decided that they're also going to be moving another big name movie, which is A Quiet Place Day 1, which that one was originally supposed to come out on March 8th. But now they're going to be taking the place of the June 28th spot. And on top of that, there's also a few other extra things that they have mentioned. Reading from my source here on The Hollywood Reporter, it states here that Paramount has also moved Ryan Reynolds and John Krasinski star If moved up a week to May 17th of 2024. And meanwhile, an untitled SpongeBob SquarePants movie departed its May 23rd, 2025 release date for December 19th, 2025. So that's also another major delay that they have revealed, that the next big screen SpongeBob movie is now going to be moved from May 23rd of 2025 to the end of the year on December 19th. But then there was another one, and while not necessarily a big one, this is the latest delay that they have revealed, which is for the live-action How to Train Your Dragon remake. Considering that there are no actors that can go and actually work on the feature, they have revealed that Universal is going to be moving the release date of the How to Train Your Dragon remake, which was supposed to come out on March 14th of 2025, which is technically around the same time as the 15th anniversary of the original's release. And instead, they're just going to be bumping it up to a few months on June 13th of 2025. But the biggest delay, and debatably the most talked about delay from this entire list, actually came from Disney. Now, Disney has a massive surprise on this, because what they did is that they took two of their big name movies that were supposed to come out on March of 2024 and decided to move that to the next year. First of which being the live action remake of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, in which that one was supposed to come out on March 22nd of next year, but now it's going to be moved up to a whole year on March 21st. But the biggest delay of them all, and probably on the same level, or no, actually, scratch that. This is the biggest delay of this entire list, is actually Elio, the next Pixar film, in which originally it was supposed to come out on March 1st of next year, but now they moved it all the way back to June 13th of 2025. Technically, it is on the exact same day as the How to Train Your Dragon movie. So that is the list of all the big delays that we have gotten. And honestly, I know that there could be several factors as to why movies would be delayed and stuff like that. But some of these, I gotta say right now, they are understandable. And I would even argue that using the excuse of the actor strike, some of it, I get it. And it does actually make sense, because technically, during a film's production, well, you kind of need actors not only for the filming process, but even for the post-production. When you have reshoots that you got to go and do, well, you need to go and bring the actors back in order to go and create those shots. And if you don't have them, well, that's a little bit of a problem, and you kind of have to wait a little bit more. So honestly, in that regard, that's why I get some of the delays that have been made, especially in the case of like the How to Train Your Dragon live action remake, for the next Mission Impossible movie, and maybe a little bit for A Quiet Place as well. But one thing I will say, and I might as well get this out of the way too, is that honestly, there is one massive benefit to this. This is actually something that I feel like is actually very helpful for all of these movies, and that is the fact that now March of 2024 is far less cluttered. You probably do remember a while ago, I actually discussed about this problem, about the fact that there were way too many big name movies that were coming out at the same time throughout the month of March of 2024. But now we have actually seen almost half of that being completely delayed, now moving to either another spot, like either in the summer of that year or even into the next year. So now, like, the rest of the movies, they have time to breathe. Films like that Ryan Reynolds, not Ryan Reynolds, but that Ryan Gosling movie that apparently is like based on a TV show. There's Kung Fu Panda 4, there's Dune 2, and also the sequel to Ghostbusters Afterlife. Now they got their own reserved spot where they're able to go and breathe and not have to worry too much about competition. And we won't be seeing another major incident like June of this year, where there were way too many blockbusters to the point that they were starting to eat each other up, and they ended up becoming like big box office bombs. So at least that's one good thing. But the one thing that I do want to go and actually talk about is actually in regarding to Disney's delays. The fact that they would take the live action remake of Snow White and Pixar's Elio and not only delay those, but the fact that they're delaying them by over a year. The fact that they would take them and instead of being released in March of 2024, now they got to put them in 2025. And that is honestly shocking because I hate to do this, folks, but time is moving very, very fast. And we are technically just 4 months away from March of 2024. And seeing that now that Snow White and Elio are being heavily pushed back and being pushed back by a year or over a year, I find that to be a little bit suspicious. At that point, that's when I got to go and raise my hand and say, hold on a sec, something is a little bit off. It's not because of the, you cannot say that this is just because of the actor strike that is going on. I feel like there's honestly a little bit more that's going on, and I feel like honestly there's a lot of work that needs to be done in both Elio and the Snow White remake. I'm just pretty much, I know that this is just speculation, this is just a bit of a theory, so honestly take what I say with a grain of salt, but I feel like there might be some production troubles, especially with Elio. I think there's something off that's going on, there's something that's not really satisfactory with Elio that either the Disney executives or that the creatives at Pixar, they're not happy with it, so they're doing a little bit of an overhaul and they're doing an update so that they can go and change things up in order to try to go and improve it. I think there might be some hidden production troubles that they're not really opening up to. But then you have the Snow White remake. And I actually have a little bit of a theory with this one as to why is it that they're being delayed by a full year. And I'm just going to go and state this right now. No, it has nothing to do with Rachel Zegler. It has nothing to do with any of the culture war drama. It's not that at all. And besides, everything that you've heard related to the controversy of oh, the Snow White remake, it's so woke. Yeah, it turns out to actually be false. And I'm even going to say that apparently the rumors about that picture that showed a diverse group of people during the set on the set of the Snow White remake, it turns out that those were not even the dwarves actually. According to one of the people who worked on the film, a makeup artist of the Snow White remake, those are apparently just banded characters. So it really goes to show that for people who are investing in culture wars or that that they're making that their entire personality, it shows that they literally believe on everything they read on the internet. But anyways, back to what I was talking about. My theory as to why is it that the Snow White remake is being delayed is because of the image that you see here. The fact that now we have the dwarves. Now, beforehand, Disney has mentioned that they would not be including the 7 dwarves in the live action remake, and that instead they would be replaced by these fairy creatures somehow. And they even showed clips of what they would look like during the D23 Expo. And a lot of fans, and I'm talking specifically about not just fans of Snow White and the 7 dwarves, but fans of Disney live action remakes, they were actually a little bit upset of the fact that they wouldn't be bringing back the dwarves. So what I'm thinking is that the reason why we are seeing this being delayed by a full year is because Disney needs the time in order to go and develop the CG and in order to go and create the dwarves. And that is the key reason here. That's why we are seeing a delay, a big delay with the Snow White remake, so that Disney can have the time to go and actually implement the dwarves on the live action remake. And for fans of Disney live action remakes, they seem a little bit more happy to know that they are coming back. But I just gotta say though, looking at these guys, when I first saw this image, I thought this was a joke, honestly. I thought there's no way that there's no way this is real. And unfortunately, yeah, this is it. And just looking at these, I'm like, why? I know this is a Disney live action remake, and often the CG in those films, like in Beauty and the Beast, or even recently with The Little Mermaid, they can be nightmares. But what the fridge is all this? What is this? What is this? What the fridge is any of this. But you know, there is also something very fascinating that I might. Oh, and someone even mentioned that apparently who let Robert Zemeckis take over. Exactly, that's what they look like. It's legit like random Image Movers characters coming back in. Oh my God, the Polar Express. Oh my God, you know, time was not so kind to the Polar Express cast. No, but you know what's actually funny is that I actually did manage to find some exclusive clips. Like, I did some real digging, and apparently there's actually some leaked footage of a brand new song featuring the Dwarves. So let's actually just take a moment to have a clip of that.
Why should we do something nice? Let's quit now, that's my advice.
We can't do anything by working with each other.
I ain't gonna work for free. Tell me what's in this for me.
We can't do anything by working with each other.
Oh boy, but you see what I mean though? It's like, look, you know, and by the way, for those of you who are only listening, I just want to let you know I'm playing a clip from the Garbage Pail Kids movie, like that one little song. But I mean, am I wrong though? Look at this face. Is it any different than what we are seeing here with the dwarves? And yet it's so stupid how some people still have a massive problem with just the fact that Rachel Zegler is playing as Snow White. I mean, like, she's perfectly fine here. Like, she's the only one that looks like a normal human being. She is fine in her role. Everyone else here, it's like, it's a freaking nightmare. I mean, I'm just wondering, is it going to be like the Garbage Pail Kids, where we're going to see one of the characters, like, suddenly have a weird fetish for toes or something like that? But in all seriousness, though, going back to what I was talking about, yeah, I mean, we are seeing all these delays happening, and honestly, it's just no surprise. Like, inevitably, they would happen, and in a lot of cases, like, they would go and use the actor strike as an excuse. I mean, some of them, like, I'll give like the How to Train Your Dragon remake and the next Mission Impossible movie, like, okay, that could be a valid reason. But for stuff like the Snow White remake and for Elio, I feel like, honestly, there's a little bit more that's going on into it. Rather it be production troubles or making significant updates to include more monsters onto the feature. So that's just something that I wanted to go and bring up and to go and discuss, because, yeah, I mean, like I said before, the fact that the strike has been going on for so long, debatably, it's been going for like over half of this year, if you do include the writer strike as well. I mean, this was bound to happen. It couldn't be just Sony Pictures who decided to chicken out and decided to make a bunch of delays for them, you know? It had to happen. But anyways, I would like to go into the chat wall right now, and I would like to ask you all, what do you all think about the movie delays? How do you feel about them, and which ones are you the most surprised about? Let me know what you all think. Let's see. I'm really not surprised of the fact that the strike is still going. It's pretty much inevitable that studios would delay their big movies. Some of these delays, I'm not surprised that Disney delayed Elio and Snow White. However, I have to ask, if they delayed those movies, why has Deadpool 3 not been delayed? Yet, considering that movie was set for May and they only have half of that filmed, do you think it would have been delayed by now? About that, you see, they did. That's actually one of the first movies that was delayed. I mean, long after Sony did their delays, but yeah, it was actually like either a month or a few months ago that they did actually announce that they would go and delay Deadpool 3. In fact, it was, here, let me just double check. It was actually in the article over here. They mentioned that Deadpool 3 got a delay. I think it was in this article, or it was in something else, or maybe it was in the Disney article. Let me just double check here. No, yeah, well, It says right over here, actually, Disney did not address the status of Deadpool 3, which Marvel Studios is set to open in early May of this year, but the threequel is virtually assured to relocating as it was one numerous Hollywood movies that has had to halt production when the actor strike commenced. Okay, or did it delay? I don't know. I thought they may have delayed it. I'm not sure. You could probably correct me if I'm wrong, if Deadpool 3 has been delayed or not, but I think it might have. I don't know. I think it did. I mean, it wouldn't make sense to do so. Okay, let's see now. Honestly, I feel bad for Elio, the original Pixar film that is more or less almost finished. I mean, they showed a trailer for crying out loud. I am excited for Inside Out 2, but I worry that Elio would have a sudden overhaul because Disney isn't happy about the results of the last few Pixar films. I hope Adrian Molina's movie doesn't get ruined a la Good Dinosaur. I mean, unless he is a legit problem, I'm worried for Elio. I mean, who knows? I cannot really confirm anything. And again, what I said, it was only a rumor, you know, like, I'm just expressing a theory. It might not be true, but I feel like it's something that is worth mentioning. It's just an idea that maybe that could be the reason, because if you're going to be delaying that by over a year, it can't just be because of the actor strike. Let's see now. Okay, a few things. One, it's cool that the How to Train Your Dragon remake and Elio are releasing on the same day, so I could just go watch Elio instead. Snow White's delay doesn't surprise me, even if Rachel Zegler doesn't look pretty, chef's kiss. If she does look pretty, excuse me. Sorry, Rachel. Of course, no, she's a very nice looking girl. But anyways, I'm glad that March isn't as cluttered to give the marketing team more time. And now we finally have the Battle of the Ages, SpongeBob versus Avatar. Who is gonna win? Oh my god, that is true. I never thought of that. That is true. Technically, that SpongeBob movie is going to come out at the same time as the next Avatar movie. Oh boy. Now that is, I mean, of course, Avatar is going to win that one, but it's going to be very interesting. You know, I would like to see how SpongeBob would go and play out. I mean, Puss in Boots managed to succeed pretty well while still being released at the same time as Avatar 2. So we'll see what happens with SpongeBob. All right, let's see now. Let's see what we have here. The delay for Pixar's Elio is actually more of a blessing in disguise than sad news to me. With that, the Pixar's Elio crew will now have plenty of time to finish the movie. Although I would feel bad for the Inside Out sequel crew because they are running out of time, I'm friends with one of the producers for the sequel, and she's working hard to make sure that it is a really good sequel. I wish her well, and if she is seeing this, hi. And that is Jonathan, by the way, who is saying it, if you are watching it. Although I would be shocked if I do have Pixar producers unironically watching or listening to AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. That would be so wild. All right. Anyways, what else do we have here? Let's see. Besides delays, Bob Iger is not doing something good right now. Disney is part of the boycott list along with McDonald's, Starbucks, and other American companies. What's the reason? Bob Iger is giving money to the relief, and those money leads to harming more good civilians, including 10,000 children in Gaza. Seriously, he needs to support the innocent people in Palestine. See the videos of children in Gaza on Instagram and Twitter for proof. Ceasefire now, save Palestine. Now, well, honestly, a little bit unrelated, but no, that is a good message to go and mention. Yeah, I mean, it is important to go and have a ceasefire, like regardless of like whatever religion that they are praying for, regardless if they're Israelites or Palestinian. I mean, a death is a death, and that is honestly not good. So yeah, a ceasefire is important. Let's see, what else do we have here? What other comments would there be? I think I might read just one or two more, and then we'll move on to our next break. Let's see, where was that again? Ah, yes. Yeah, tarara boom delays indeed. For the new Mission Impossible movie and How to Train Your Dragon remake, okay, good. But for Elio and Snow White, something sus is happening. I hope Elio doesn't become another Good Dinosaur situation because of the production troubles. Ooh, excuse me. And as for Snow White, why does Dopey look like Alfred E. Newman from Mad? That is creepy, man. Oh my god. Yeah, I didn't actually think of that. Like, yeah, that is true. The spirit of Mad magazine is alive and well. Hey, I mean, like, hey, it's great to see that Alfred is getting more gigs. He's getting more opportunities outside of Mad. All right, but anyways, let's see, one more comment over here. Knowing that the strike is going on and that the studios are being dicks to actors, this was inevitable that some movies were going to be delayed. But I find it ironic that both How to Train Your Dragon Remake and Elio both premiere on the day after my 22nd birthday. Although the dwarves somehow look scarier than the spitting image version of the Seven Dwarves. Seriously, what is with Disney remakes and these uncanny valley characters? I have no idea, but apparently it's a thing, and I don't like it that it's a thing. Alright, but anyways, we're gonna go on to our next break, and when we do come back, we are actually gonna go and talk about a news that was released today, on the day that I am recording this. And I saw that in the chat wall before we started this. Oh boy, were people excited for this announcement. So we will be talking about that soon. And we are back. Now, originally, at this point, I was thinking about talking about a news that happened a couple of weeks ago, to which it was revealed that one of the upcoming movies from Warner Brothers Animation, specifically The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie, might actually get a release on the big screen, or at least that Warner Brothers Animation is teaming up with another company in order to try to sell the movie to cinemas so that they could go and present that to the big screen, which could possibly make it the first ever fully animated Looney Tunes movie to be released on the big screen. But then, well, at the last minute, it looks like I had to go and change a bit of plans. There were a few things, honestly, that I saw that I noticed, oh, you know, they could make for some interesting stories. But in this case here, I felt like the more I looked into it, the more I was like, nah, you know what? Nah, we gotta go and talk about this, because I know that as I am recording this, I can hear Toonrific Tariq just being ecstatic. Like, I can hear one heck of a yahoo coming from him. Or anything that would sound like that. I heard a big explosion of cheer, and it sounded like Toonrific. But anyways, what I am talking about is actually in regards to another Peanuts movie. Yes, Apple has officially announced that alongside Peanuts Worldwide and WildBrain, that they are going to be collaborating together on an all-new Peanuts feature film. Now, we only got a little bit of information as to what this is, but they did provide us with an idea of a little bit of what the plot may be, and at the same time, we got an idea of who are going to be working on this. So just reading from my source here on Deadline, it states, slated to begin production in 2024 from WildBrain Studios, the new family film will see the Peanuts gang go on an epic adventure to the big city, learning the true meaning of friendship while meeting some surprising new friends along the way. The screenplay is co-written by Carrie Kirkpatrick from an original story by co-writers Craig Schultz, Brian Schultz, and Cornelius Giuliano, who wrote the 2015 feature film The Peanuts Movie. That film's director, Steve Martino, will helm the new pick, which will be produced by two-time Oscar nominee Bonnie Arnold. So in that regard, it looks like a lot of the core team members of the Peanuts movie are indeed going to be coming back to go and work on this movie. And that the whole theme of it is that now the Peanuts gang are just going to be traveling along the big city. So, in a way, I'll just say right now that the plot line, or at least just the premise of it, it sounds a bit like the Shaun the Sheep movie. But I'll get more into that a little later, because we also do have a couple of quotes that I would like to go and read you here. First off, we got one from Tara Sorensen, Apple's head of children's programming, in which she states here, fans of all ages have been enamored with Peanuts on Apple TV+. With our unmatched library of Peanuts titles and award-winning collection of stories that bring kids and families together, Apple TV Plus is the preeminent home for Snoopy and friends and offers a world-class selection of series and films featuring the most globally cherished animated characters. We can't wait for everyone to experience this heartwarming new adventure with Snoopy, Charlie Brown, and the gang in the big city. We also got a quote coming from Craig Schultz, as he states here, "It is so special to carry on my father's legacy with an original story from me, my son Brian, and his writing partner Neil. We are excited to be partnering with Apple TV Plus and working with WildBrain Studios to bring audiences a brand new Peanuts adventure, along with the talented Bonnie Arnold as producer and Steve Martino as director. Peanuts fans have been clamoring for another feature for years, and this film will bring joy to our millions of fans around the world." And again, we don't officially have a brand new release date to this movie as of yet, but as it states in the article, we know that the production is going to begin next year. So yeah, it looks like now we are going to be having another Peanuts movie. Well, I don't know if this would technically count as a sequel to the Peanuts movie, but the Peanuts are going to be back on an all-new feature film. And like I said before, just by listening to just by listening to the premise, the idea about the kids going into the big city and having a little bit of an adventure there, honestly, it does remind me of the Shaun the Sheep movie, where you're taking this property that's massively wholesome, that is very simple. You know, it's not like something that is meant to be like really epic, even though like they stated that they promise an epic adventure or whatever, but it is going to be something that is going to be a lot more heartfelt than it is going to be something that's more action-packed or something that you would normally expect out of the common blockbuster. So this is going to be something that they're going to emphasize more into the wholesomeness and stuff like that. And in that regard, I got to say, I really am excited. And this is not to mention the fact that we even have the people who worked on the movie, that they are going to be returning in order to go and create this. Not only do we have the Schultz family members coming in to go and write a story about this, or write the story for this, and on top of that, we also got Steve Martino, who's going to be coming back to go and direct the picture, and on top of that, we also got some well-respected names as well, including Carrie Kirkpatrick and Bonnie Arnold. Like, already, I am seeing a recipe for success right over here. Like, what we have gotten on the original Peanuts movie back in 2015, we may end up seeing lightning strike twice with this. That what Blue Sky Studios did, it will most likely happen again with the team at WildBrain and in Apple. Now, I'm not saying that it is guaranteed that it will, but honestly, we are seeing so many positive signs that, you know, it's hard not to feel enthusiastic and optimistic about this project over here. However, I will say there is one thing that I am curious about. I don't know if this is actually confirmed, if they will be doing this, and that is in regards to the animation. Because I know that with the visuals of the new Charlie Brown stuff that has been released on Apple TV Plus, usually they would just stick to 2D, or that they would have their animation be reminiscent to the classic cartoons of Charlie Brown back in the 60s and 70s and all that kind of stuff. But based on the concept art that we do see here, with the kids pointing up to like the big billboard signs of all the different characters, like with Snoopy, Charlie Brown, Peppermint Patty, Lucy, and many more, it looks like maybe, and I am hoping, that we could see WildBrain trying to emulate the animation that was done in the Peanuts movie. Now, that is going to be exciting to see if that is the case, because honestly, I would consider that animation to be very underrated. I mean, yes, it is like universally acclaimed. Like, the visuals that they did there is absolutely beautiful, but I feel like it doesn't necessarily get enough credit to be considered revolutionary. Some people would go as far and say that the credit that Into the Spider-Verse has received for really changing the game for computer animation, like a lot of that credit should have been done or should have been given to the Peanuts movie and to the people at Blue Sky Studios, considering that they have managed to do what Spider-Verse has done years before Spider-Verse ever came out to the big screen. And honestly, I understand that argument because, like, yeah, that the animation that they have done, like taking computer animation while staying true to the 2D style of Charlie Brown and kind of reinventing computer animation in itself in order to capture that look. Honestly, like, it's some of the best work that Blue Sky Studios has done. Like, it truly is admirable. And if that is the case, that maybe WildBrain might go and do the same thing, like, honestly, that really has me excited. Like, and I mean, like, chances are it could happen, considering the fact that, again, we do have the same filmmakers from the original Peanuts movie coming back in order to go and create this, especially with Steve Martino coming back as the director. So if he's going to be directing the movie, then chances are he'll also be doing the same thing to ensure that the style of the animation stays the same or can recreate that same effect that we have seen in the original Peanuts movie. If that is the case, I don't know, but honestly, like, it is making me excited to see how this is going. But then again, there is also another thing that I want to mention. There is one more comment that I would like to do, and that is regarding where specifically are they releasing this. And one thing I want to know is, are they going to be releasing this just on Apple TV Plus, or will they also go and release this on the big screen? Because I know Apple has the capability of putting movies out on the big screen as well. Like, we just recently saw that they have done so with Killers of the Flower Moon, or another example is with I believe Napoleon is also another one that they're bringing out on the big screen. I could be wrong, but I know that Sony is teaming up with Apple, and they're going to be releasing that on the big screen. Now, you could correct me if I'm wrong on that, but yeah, like, we have seen that Apple has taken some films that they have produced, and that, they don't just reserve that for Apple TV Plus, but they would also go and put that on the big screen. And yeah, and some people I see, they're also mentioning, like, other examples of Apple putting out a film on the big screen. Like, a lot of people are mentioning Argyle, that's going to be coming out on February of 2024. And another one they even mentioned was actually Coda, which that I believe that one won Best Picture. But you guys know what I mean, though. We have seen Apple releasing movies on the big screen. And what I want to know is, are they going to do the same thing with this Peanuts movie? Are they just going to go and keep that as an Apple TV Plus movie? Or will they actually step up and put that on the big screen? So I honestly don't know. Like, that's one thing that I am hoping for, actually. I do hope that we would go and get to see the Peanuts movie, or like with this Peanuts movie, on the big screen. But are they going to be willing to do that? Who knows, honestly. Especially with the fact that technically, with the examples that I have brought up with Killers of the Flower Moon or Napoleon or Argyle and stuff like that, they would normally team up with another major studio in order to do so. That they would go and team up with either Sony, Universal, Paramount, or whatever in order to put that on the big screen. Now, in this case here, however, they don't necessarily have another partner. It's just Apple and WildBrain. They don't have another major studio that they're teaming up with to go and distribute this even further. So if that is the case, I am not sure, but ultimately we shall see. But yeah, this is just to go and to bring up the fact that yes, we are going to be getting another Peanuts movie that will be brought to us by Apple. And yes, it will be from the same team, or well, the same core team that has brought us the original Peanuts movie. So this will definitely be something that we're going to keep an eye out on in the future. All right, so with that said, I would like to go into the chat wall, and I want to ask you all, what do you think about this new Peanuts movie? How do you feel about it? Are you excited about it? Do you have any questions? Are you concerned? Let me know what you all think on this. All right, let's see what we got. I am insanely hyped for this movie. I love the first Peanuts movie, and it's my favorite Blue Sky Studios movie. I am glad that the original director is back, and the concept art looks cool. The only thing that I don't like is that it's going to be on Apple TV+. Hopefully we get this in theaters because I don't have Apple TV+. Overall, I'm really excited for this movie. All right, I am pumped for this. The original 2015 Peanuts movie is criminally underrated, and it is easily one of the best movies ever made by Blue Sky, and I'm so glad that most of the original people are coming back to make it. In fact, I'm even more hyped that Bonnie Arnold and Carrie Kirkpatrick are finally reuniting together for the first time since DreamWorks Over the Hedge to make an animated film. Bring on Peanuts 2. All right. I've made it no secret that the Peanuts movie is my favorite animated movie of all time, and to see not only is it coming back for an encore, but the creative team from the first is coming back, cinema's back on the menu, baby. My one fear is that it won't hit the emotional resonance the first movie did, but either way, it's a sequel to the Peanuts movie. Of course it's going to be a must-watch for me, and once again, quoting the billboard from Nimona, Blue Sky never dies. Honestly, I would go and argue that considering that not only do we have the original team from the Peanuts movie, but also we do have the family members of Charles Schulz working on this, specifically on the script, I think it will have that same emotional impact. I'd argue that it would. I have confidence on that. All right, what else do we have here? This is my first time hearing this news, and this new Peanuts movie is in the pot, and, hold on. Let me rephrase that. I didn't word that correctly. This is my first time hearing this news about this new Peanuts movie in this podcast. This movie could be a perfect successor for the Peanuts movie. Same crew, but different studio. WildBrain. Here's an interesting fact. Trent Corey, one of the directors of Once Upon a Studio, first worked at WildBrain before being part of Disney Animation. Based on what I saw with their previous projects, I think they have strong potential for making something awesome, and I do hope it could be on the big screen. Yeah, and from what honestly, I haven't seen any of the new Peanuts stuff, but from what I've heard, they've actually been pretty solid so far. Even after all these years, they still actually were able to hold on to that same emotional resonance as like the comic books, or even back in the days when it was supervised by Charles Schulz. So, I mean, so we do know that with both WildBrain and Apple, the Peanuts franchise is actually in good hands. So the fact that they're also making a movie, I mean, it's a pretty positive sign that, we know, there's a very good chance that it's going to be good. All right, what other comments would we have here? Just want to see. I don't have much considering I don't have much connection for the Peanuts outside of enjoying the Blue Sky movie, but I'm glad that there is another movie coming soon. All right. Let's see. Good grief. Makes me wonder how Charles Sparky Schulz would feel about this, and hearing about the Peanuts gang heading to the big city makes me think of when two of their stage musicals were opened on Broadway. You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown, and Snoopy the Musical. I'm surprised that no one has actually ever thought of making a new stage musical or a stage musical adaptation of the Peanuts gang. Well, I mean, I don't know. If they would just go and bring back You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown, considering I have heard that is more of a Broadway classic. But honestly, who knows? That could also be an interesting thing, considering that when you do look at the concept art and that they would, that they made, that they're portraying the big city is similar to New York. Who knows? That maybe they could do a musical. I don't know if this has been done yet. Maybe it already has. But why not have a Peanuts animated musical? Or I'm honestly surprised. Maybe sometime in the future, why not make an animated adaptation of something like You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown, or Snoopy the Musical? Why haven't they done that, Oh, let's see. What other comments do we have here? Do we have any more comments, actually? Just want to double check on that to make sure. I'll just go with this one, and I think afterwards we'll have another break. Oh, actually, two more. Oh, no. Oh, no, I have read this. I've read this. Sorry. This is something I've never expected to happen. The Peanuts movie is by far my favorite Blue Sky movie, and the fact that they're... Oh, no. I've already read that one. Sorry. If the new Peanuts movie gets a theatrical release, I would be so down to see it. Regardless, the new Peanuts movie has been in production hell for quite some time, and now that this is official, I couldn't be happier to see the Peanuts gang coming back. I really hope they keep the same animation style from the 2015 movie. I bet it's going to be a delight to watch. This is gonna pique everyone. Here we go. All right, so I am glad to see that there is a lot of enthusiasm, and I think I made the right choice to go and include this story onto this episode. I see everybody is so hyped up for it. And with that said, we're going to go onto our next break right now. And when we do return, we are going to go and talk about another thing that is coming back. We're specifically going to be discussing about an animation festival. And this one, once upon a time, was considered one of the biggest animation festivals in history. So stay tuned for that. And we are back. Now, the next story that I have for you all, now, maybe at first, you might not necessarily be fully familiar with what I'll be talking about, but if you know something about animation history, then you know that this is a major deal. In fact, this is actually something that is considered to be the start of many of the biggest names in animation, which I will get into with this story. So with that said, let's go into our next story right now, as we shall be discussing the grand return of the Spike and Mike Sick and Twisted Festival of Animation. Now, you might be wondering, what is the Sick and Twisted Festival of Animation, you might ask? Well, they did provide a little bit of a video, so let's just go and quickly check that one out.
Hello, boys and girls. It's time for the Spike and Mike Festival of Animation.
Yes. Oh. Is there any more? Okay. Yes, folks, that was the Spike and Mike Festival of Animation. That's what's going to be coming back. And I know that a lot of the stuff that they have presented was rather shocking, but that's pretty much the whole goal of it. It's the fact that they want to go and emphasize the Sick and Twisted, where they would go and gather up some animated content that would have a lot of shock value, that would have a lot of gross factor into it, that they're not afraid to enter into the realm of violence, nudity, sexuality, and so much more. And now, thanks to Skybound Entertainment, the same people that brought us Invincible, they have fully acquired Spike and Mike, and they are going to be bringing the festival back. And they're going to be bringing it back in a major way. In fact, let me tell you something that is actually weird. The reason why I am discussing about this is actually because the marketing people at Skybound, they actually emailed me to go and mention, hey, could you go and talk about this? Like, no joke. The day before it was publicly announced that Skybound is bringing back Spike and Mike, they sent me an email to go and tell me all the information about what they are going to be doing by bringing back Spike and Mike. And not only are they going to be bringing back the festival, but they're also going to go and heavily emphasize the legacy of the festival. In fact, I actually still have the email right over here. I might as well go and read you the stuff that they are doing. So this is directly from the email that they have sent me. So It states here, as part of the revival, Skybound Entertainment plans to relaunch animation festivals, revive the Spike and Mike animation events, inviting creators worldwide to engage in their distinctive, unconventional style. They're also planning to distribute content digitally, make hand-picked animated shorts available on online platforms, enhancing global accessibility to both recent and legacy library content while honoring the festival's gonzo roots. There's also forge new partnerships, seek collaborations with contemporary animation creators across a variety of mediums and platforms to spotlight today's talents. And finally, they also said to reintroduce the library, assess opportunities to either rejuvenate iconic tales from the past or craft fresh narratives influenced by its library. So that is what they have mentioned to me about a basic plan of what they want to do with the festival. And I even have a couple of quotes reading from my source here on Animation Magazine. A couple of people want to go and mention about their plans with what they want to do. And one of them will come from Rick Jacobs, the managing partner of linear content at Skybound Entertainment, by stating, bringing this iconic brand under the Skybound umbrella is an enormous opportunity to bring Spike and Mike's Rebel Origins to the masses and expand upon what we're already doing in adult animation. Co-founder Mike Gribble once stated that their mission was to find the most original, funniest, and weirdest animation in the world and play it. Digitizing the festival opens the doors for and to millions of talented creators across the globe who will shepherd a new generation of animation. We also got a comment here coming from Spike himself, Craig Decker, as he states, I'm incredibly appreciated of Skybound's respect and understanding of what the Spike and Mike brand has accomplished and what we can continue to offer. I'm excited to see what they're able to do for existing Spike and Mike work and look forward to developing a new chapter with them. So that is the big thing about Spike and Mike. It's the fact that not only are they going to be bringing it back, but in a way they're kind of rebooting it, where not only will they be highlighting a lot of the legacy titles that they have put out, but also that they're going to be reopening the festival so that they can go and start the careers of new animators that could go on to become big names. Now, a major reason why I want to go and highlight Spike and Mike's and why this should be something that more animation fans should know about is the fact that with Spike and Mike's, this is the origins of many of the biggest names in animation. Before the days of the Annecy International Animation Film Festival in France, or any of the other big festivals such as the Toronto Film Festival or Sundance or Cannes, or, well, okay, maybe not before those, but I mean like before the days when like animation was considered big in those festivals, beforehand, it was Spike and Mike's Festival of Animation. It was the place where you would go and put up your animated content to go and start your careers. And I am serious when I say that some of the biggest names in animation, or even some of the biggest names in entertainment, have started out by submitting an animated content onto Spike and Mike's, where they would go on to have very prominent careers. In fact, I have right over here the Wikipedia page of Spike and Mike's, and they have even mentioned some of the people who have submitted an animated content before they would go on to have prominent careers. Now, this list would go and include Danny Antonucci, Don Hertzfeldt, Mike Judge, Bill Plimpton, Craig McCracken, Marv Newland, Trey Parker and Matt Stone, Nick Park, Breeth Burns, Ken Navarro, Eric Fogel, Andrew Stanton, Pete Docter, Allison Snowden and David Fine, John A. Davis, Chris Wedge, Will Vinton, Tim Burton, Barry Purves, and Frederick Back. And those are just the names of just the examples that they have listed on Wikipedia and so much more. But you could tell with many of these big names, like Pete Docter, Tim Burton, Will Vinton, Chris Wedge, many more. Like, I'm sure that there are a few of those names where you're like, wait a minute, I know those guys. I know who they are. And they started out by submitting their cartoon onto Spike and Mike's. That is how they would go and start. And that is the reason why I personally say I am excited to see Spike and Mike's actually making a comeback. Because this means that we will be seeing a new generation of animators where they're really going to go and have a big start at Spike and Mike's, where you have to go and keep an eye to see what weird cartoon that they're going to go and put out and who are the creators, because they could go on to become the next big animation directors for like a major studio or something, or even run a big name studio, or heck, even become the next biggest name in Hollywood in the similar veins to Tim Burton. It's really the origin of them all, and it's really nice to see that they would go and actually start that. And on top of that, there's even that additional layer of like preserving animation history, where now they're going to go and highlight how is it that Spike and Mike's actually made a massive impact onto animation. Like, what is it, like what works they have gotten that pretty much became one of the first works from some of those biggest names? Because I could guarantee you, some of them, I will say, they are massive surprises, and you would be shocked how some of them might be pretty adult. I mean, there have been a few that I will say that, you know, it is to be expected that they would have some heartfelt flair onto them. Like, you're probably familiar of something like Vincent or Close Mondays, for example, or even like with something like The Spirit of Christmas, not the concept, but the pilot of South Park. But then there are some that you would be shocked how some people have submitted some things that, oh boy, are they, they really are out there, and they're far more adult than the stuff that they are known for. Like Craig McCracken's No Neck Joe. Oh boy, I remember watching that on YouTube, and that's a crazy one. Or especially Danny Antonucci's Lupo the Butcher. Oh my god, like, before Ed, Edd and Eddy, Danny Antonucci was actually known to be an edgelord. And if you actually do know the history of the show, Ed, Edd and Eddy was actually built on a dare. Like, one guy just went in, and I think they might have been both drunk or something, and they said like, "Hey Danny, I bet you couldn't go and make a cartoon for kids. Can you try to do that?" And that's how we ended up making Ed, Edd and Eddy. So yeah, honestly, it's actually pretty funny to see like a lot of the stuff that they would do. Like, yeah, there are some that, they are more in line with some of the recent stuff that they would go and make. But then you would also have something that is like shockingly adult from creators that are more known for their family-friendly content. But yeah, honestly, with Skybound, with Spike and Mike's Festival of Animation, yeah, I think this is a moment that I feel like animation fans should really go and celebrate, to see the comeback of this beloved festival, and that we actually have something that and honestly, what could be the most exciting part, I'll just say right now, is the fact that we do have a festival that is going to be dedicated to celebrating the crazy works of new artists. I feel like one problem with many big name animation festivals nowadays, they just go and focus purely more onto the bigger works, onto the works that are done by well-established creators or by established studios. I mean, as prestigious and as amazing as Annecy is, that one really just focuses on the content that's created by major studios, by like either Disney or Universal or Sony or Netflix and stuff like that. It's not necessarily a place where they would go and truly highlight rising people. But with something like Spike and Mike's, on the other hand, the new people are the stars. Like, this is the moment where creators can go and let everything out and just be crazy with the content that they can go and produce. Like, this really is to go and emphasize new creators and to really give them a spotlight so that hopefully they can become either the next Craig McCracken or Pete Docter or Andrew Stanton or Tim Burton or Don Hertzfeldt or anything like that. So that's going to be the big thing that I feel like is really exciting for new creators, for new animators, you know, for new filmmakers even. And I'll even say that if you want to go and actually submit a work for this new updated Spike and Mike's Festival of Animation, well, there is a way that you can do so. You can actually go to their website, go to spikeandmikefest.com, and you can, and if you do have something that you can go and submit onto the festival, that you actually have an animated content that you can go and submit to them, then feel free to do so. You have until January 3rd to go and submit your work onto the Spike and Mike Festival. And if you can, that's great. If not, well, I mean, better luck next time, and that'll give you more time to craft your work so that you can have something to go and submit to them. And I'll even say, the crazier it is, the better it will be. Like, if you have something that is truly insane, that is truly out there, spontaneous, just shocking, and filled with blood and tits and anything like that, then honestly, that is highly encouraged at the Spike and Mike Film Festival. Just go nuts. I mean, just like this podcast, the crazier it is, the better it will be. All right, so with that said, I would like to go into the chat wall. And I want to ask you all, how do you feel about the return of Spike and Mike's Sick and Twisted Animation Festival? I would love to know your thoughts onto this. Please, let me know what you think. And if you are a creator yourself, I would love to know if you have any works that you would like to go and submit to the Spike and Mike's Sick and Twisted Festival of Animation. Let me know what your thoughts are. All right, let's see now. Well, I myself have never heard of Spike and Mike's Animation Festival. This is definitely awesome, especially with how this is an animation festival that celebrates such big names in the entertainment industry. So overall, this is definitely exciting. All right, let's see. Oh, hell yeah. I'm familiar with Spike and Mike's Film Festival. This is where the Wallace and Gromit shorts first premiered in America. Beavis and Butthead also premiered there as well, and many well-known artists also premiered their stuff. I believe Don Hertzfeldt's Rejected was also screened there. Yes, it has. I can confirm that. Hopefully, I could participate in this one day. I'll start by making my ideas already. And again, be as wild and crazy as you are. Be as wild and crazy as you can make it. Be as adult as you can make it with all the swears, the nudity, the violence, and all that kind of stuff. That's one thing that is encouraged in Spike and Mike's Sick and Twisted. The more sick and twisted it is, the better it will be. And the more likely that it will be premiered. All right, anyways, let's see. Let's see now. Spike and Mike's Festival is cool, but it's really cool that they hired you to promote it. Well, I mean, they didn't hire me. They didn't pay me to do so. They just sent me an email to go and, to go and spread the word out there, to go and prepare and make a comment on this. So yeah, like really, they just asked me if I could go and spread the news, and I figured, like as a fan of animation history and as a fan of animation itself, honestly, I figured why the fridge not, and go and spread the word and let you all know about it. All right, any other comments out there? Oh, honestly, not many people have anything to say about it. So, okay, well, actually, here there is one though. Before this news, I have never heard about Spike and Mike's Animation Festival, but when I heard about this and the big name animators, how they got their start, I am hyped up for this. All right, so I think from there, not many people have anything to say, so I think we will go on to one more break. And when we do return, we will get into the grand finale, and we will be talking about the latest box office champion. So stay tuned for that one, folks. All right, folks, this is it. After all the stories that we have discussed, it is now time that we shall end this off with the grand finale. And with this grand finale, we shall be going back into the box office because one of the most anticipated movies has finally been released. And oh boy, have the reactions been all over the place. However, that doesn't necessarily change the fact that, well, it was a massive hit. Love it or hate it, it definitely made its money back. And I mean, on the day of its release, it made its money back, which I will go and explain a little more later, as we shall be talking about, of course, Five Nights at Freddy's, or as I've learned recently, if you go and switch up the words, you can actually turn the pizzeria into a smooth jazz club. So stay tuned, everyone. Watch out for the smooth, sweet sensations of Freddy's Nights at 5. But anyways, I'll quit goofing around. Anyways, back to what I was talking about. Yes, when Five Nights at Freddy's was released on October 27th, that movie turned out to be a massive sensation. In fact, I would even say it was actually pretty record-breaking. Now, maybe not necessarily making the same amount of money as we have seen with something like Barbie or Oppenheimer, but still, as is, it is undeniably a major hit. In fact, what ended up happening was that on its first weekend, it managed to gather a weekend total of $80 million. And that doesn't even include how much it made internationally in order to accumulate a grand total of over $130 million at the box office. In fact, going back into my source here on Deadline, there have been, it did do a little bit of a list here of the several different records that Five Nights at Freddy's has managed to break. And these include, at $130.6 million worldwide, Freddy is the biggest horror worldwide bow of the year, ahead of Nun 2, and the biggest Blumhouse global debut of all time, ahead of Halloween from 2018. Stateside, box office analyst Corp Intelligent says Freddy's cloaked $6 million admission over 3 days, the most ever for a horror movie monitored by Stat.org since the post-pandemic launch. It is also the biggest opening weekend for a horror pick of the year, besting Scream 6. It is also the second biggest opening ever for a video game movie, behind the Super Mario Bros. Movie and ahead of Sonic the Hedgehog 2. It is also the biggest Blumhouse opening ever, ahead of 2018's Halloween, the highest opening for a Halloween weekend movie, beating out Puss in Boots. It is also the 19th time a Blumhouse movie has bowed at the #1 spot and will bring the genre's labeled domestic box office to more than $3 billion. It is also the biggest theatrical day-and-date debut after Disney Plus's Black Widow. Keep in mind, meaning that the biggest release for a movie that has been simultaneously released onto streaming, since Five Nights at Freddy's came out both on the big screen, and on Peacock. Then the third largest debut for any horror film, ahead of Halloween and behind only It and It Chapter 2. The highest opening for any PG-13 horror film, surpassing The Mummy Returns. And finally, the biggest opening weekend for a horror film directed by a woman, ahead of Candyman. So yeah, immediately, it beat out so many records, and that's just at the box office. This doesn't even count some of the records that it has beaten on Peacock. In fact, I do believe it already has held the record as one of the most watched movies ever on the platform in just a matter of days. If not, it is the most watched movie on Peacock. But I cannot say the same about this weekend, however, because, even though, like, it was the only major movie that is worth highlighting, what's funny is that technically, this weekend was supposed to be the release of Dune 2 before Warner Brothers and Legendary decided to go and delay that to March of 2024. But besides that, though, considering that Halloween was over, so was the hype for Freddy, in which from there, the box office was updated, where now on its second weekend, it significantly dropped to 76%, where now Five Nights at Freddy's has made a total of $19.4 million during the second weekend, and having a domestic total of $113.6 million. So that is the big thing with Five Nights at Freddy's. It's just the massive hype that led to a major opening. Now, before I go and continue, I would just like to make one major clarification, and that is, as of this episode, as I am recording this right now, I have yet to actually watch the movie itself. So I personally cannot go and express my thoughts as to what I think about the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. So honestly, that is something that I would have to go and set aside. I cannot speak if the movie is good or bad because I have yet to see it. But I am planning to go and watch it though, because I do have a video in mind, which will be coming soon, probably sometime at the beginning of 2024, but we will see. But anyways, back to what I was saying. One thing that I have noticed that is very interesting is actually in regards to the reactions though. Because even though I haven't seen it, and I cannot say if the movie is good or bad, man, the reactions have been so divided. It is crazy to see how people are so split when it comes to Five Nights at Freddy's. It really is one of those that people either love it or they absolutely hate it. I've seen some people who actually adore the film, and they said that they had a lot of fun, and a lot of it comes from, of course, many of the fans. And then, of course, I've also seen many people who say that they hate it, they despise it, which, of course, comes from many of the critics, where they would go as far and say that it is one of, if not the worst movie of 2023 so far. It really is that bad. So the reactions have been all over the place. And yet, even though this is a movie in which it is so divided, in which critics absolutely hated this, and that the word of mouth is well, take your pick, how is it that this movie became such a massive hit? What is the secret recipe to Five Nights at Freddy's being such a phenomenon and being, what for now, one of the most profitable movies of 2023? Well, I think the answer really lies in the fact that it is Five Nights at Freddy's. I think this is something that no one should actually be surprised about. Because this, as I said before, this was one of the most anticipated movies of the year. This has been something that fans had been eagerly waiting for so long to go and make. And the creator, Scott Cawthon, really tried his best in order to keep his vision of how he wants the movie to be, because he knows exactly what his fans want. In fact, I'm just going to go and say this right now. I wouldn't be surprised if Scott Cawthon knew that this movie was going to suck, or at least that he knew that critics were going to hate this movie entirely. Because let's be honest, Scott Cawthon is not a screenwriter. He had no experience whatsoever when it comes to writing movies or anything like that. The most experience that he ever had was just making these video games, and that's it. But he knows very well of what his fans want. He knows what his fans want to go and see. And the big thing about, or at least one reason as to why Five Nights at Freddy's became a massive hit, is because it is a major crowd pleaser. Now, keep in mind, being a crowd pleaser does not necessarily mean that, oh, this is gonna be, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's gonna be a good movie. Just because you deliver what audiences want to see, that doesn't necessarily mean that the result would mean quality. Because trust me, during the weekend, I actually did see an early screening of Trolls Band Together. And that one, I would say that it definitely is a crowd pleaser, where a lot of the creative choices was for stuff. It was just stuff for people, for fans, what they want to see in the film. And that turned out to be awful. I did not enjoy my experience, and I pretty much came out of it feeling like I am done with that franchise. So I get it. Crowd pleasers do not equal good movies. But still, though, Scott knows his fans very well. And Scott knows exactly what fans want to go and see, and try to make sure that the movie is as accurate to the games as possible. I mean, we already have seen how the Jim Henson Company created the Five Nights at Freddy's puppets, and to look exactly like how they did in the games. Like, they tried to make sure that it is as accurate as possible to the video game, to make sure that when you see Freddy or Bonnie or Chica, that they are exactly who you think they are. They are exactly like they came fresh out of the games and stuff like that. But on top of that, also including the elements that people really got invested into, and that is elements into the lore. Not just the pizzeria, not just with the kids, but also the aspects, not just with the animatronics, but also with the children, what happened to them, like their tragic story, the story of William Afton. Maybe not necessarily throw in all of the, not necessarily throw in everything from the lore of Five Nights at Freddy's, but to go and to deliver like a basic idea, like a lot of the stuff that mostly came from the first game, and that's it, to go and deliver that to the fans. And as you can see from the reaction of those fans, that a lot of them actually enjoyed it. Maybe not all, but a lot of them were really happy with what they have gathered. And especially with the fact that you got to keep in mind, and this is not talking down about the franchise whatsoever, but it is primarily for kids. I would even argue that it's for one age group above the Paw Patrol Mighty movie. They are the ones who really wanted to go and see this the most, and they are the ones who are the most dedicated. And it doesn't matter how the movie itself would be, because they are going to go and watch it no matter what, because their goal is not necessarily to see a movie that is as high quality as something like either Barbie or Oppenheimer or Spider-Verse or Nimona or whatever. They want to see the stuff that they know from the games be adapted onto the big screen. And they actually did get that. And that makes them highly satisfied with the whole experience. That's what made them happy with it. And honestly, in that regard, that really is the big mission that they've managed to accomplish. It doesn't matter what the critics say. I mean, yeah, many people and a lot of critics, they despised the film. They slammed it hard, calling it one of the worst movies of the year. But it's not a movie for critics. It's a movie for fans. And that is one major advantage why Scott Cawthon spent years trying to ensure that he gets his vision to life, because he knows what the fans actually want. He doesn't know, and I'm sure he doesn't care of what the critics want in a Five Nights at Freddy's movie, because he wants to go and make it for the fans. And as you can see for the box office results, it managed to work out very well. And the reason also I want to add why is it that it became so profitable and why it could debatably be one of the most profitable movies of the year is the fact that this is a Blumhouse film. The fact that it has a budget of $20 million. That's it. Just $20 million, and that is all. Now, technically, some people could go and argue that this is technically a bit of a higher budget for a Blumhouse production. But in this case here, as a movie that would have like a lot of hype, a lot of anticipation, especially when compared to other major movies that would have like hundreds of millions of dollars in their budget, this is stupidly low. Like $20 million, feel like it doesn't even cover a fraction of what a budget for a big name movie would be. And yet, the fact that it has a low budget makes it far more easier for Five Nights at Freddy's to become much more profitable. In fact, I would even say, considering that on its first day, on October 27th, I believe it has managed to make a total of $39 million. Just to go and double check on that, I believe that is the number that they have made just on the first day alone. Like, that right there, they've already managed to make their profits. Like, that's it. Like, they're pretty much set, and they're pretty much done. I just want to go and double check if that really is the case, but anyway, well, I mean, the chat wall can go and they can go and actually correct me if I'm wrong on that. But yeah, that is the big thing with Five Nights at Freddy's, is the fact that with its cheap budget, it's able to go and easily make its money back. Like, already, it just on Friday, boom. Like, right now, they got all their money back, and the rest is just gonna be profit. And I mean, this doesn't even count, like, how much it made on Thursday, which I know it made above $10 million. So the fact that on its first weekend, it made $80 million in the domestic box office, that is just nothing but profit. Like, I'll even say right now, Universal can right now go and completely remove Five Nights at Freddy's in all the theaters, and it wouldn't necessarily make a difference because the mission was accomplished. They managed to make their money. They have made more than enough to go and make not one, but several different Five Nights at Freddy's movies. And you know for a fact that with that big success, and the fact that this is technically one of the biggest, one of the most successful Blumhouse films out there, you know a sequel is going to be made. You know that they're going to be making more animatronics, and we'll see like big screen versions of other Five Nights at Freddy's characters, like the toy versions of the original four, or even, Balloon Boy, or even, I was about to say Springtrap, but I think he already made an appearance in the movie, based on what I've seen in the trailers. But even the marionette, like that black and white Tim Burton looking marionette guy. I forgot his name for some reason. But yeah, like you would have all of, like they already made more than enough of their money in order to go and make more Five Nights at Freddy's and start to go and make that kind of cycle that they would make the movies on the cheap. It would make a lot of money. Then they would make another movie on the cheap, and then they would make more money, and so on and so forth, that they would keep making that happen. And honestly, like, I don't know if this is going to be something that other movies can try to go and replicate. I don't know if there really is a true lesson that people can learn other than like managing a low budget and stuff like that. But it really does emphasize how Five Nights at Freddy's is a massive global phenomenon. In fact, I would even go and argue and say that the cultural impact of Five Nights at Freddy's is very similar to something like Harry Potter, where you have this massively dedicated and loyal fan base that they would follow the franchise through and through, that many of them would revolve their lives around the lore, around the stories, around the characters of Five Nights at Freddy's, that they made their whole lives based on that they would unironically watch Matt Pat's videos with all his game theory stuff and actually take that seriously. That they would go, that honestly, they devote their lives to Five Nights at Freddy's. And whatever new stuff would come out of it, they're definitely going to be among the first to go and watch it. And that's why there is that comparison to Harry Potter fans, because I know even to this day, Harry Potter fans are very much like that. And I mean, technically, there is also the factor that technically Scott Cawthorn is the J.K. Rowling of video games, because there is the controversy with him being a massive homophobe and a bigot, especially with the money that he has given to Republican politicians and whose stance are very much against the LGBTQ plus community, which from there he got called out and ended up nuking his entire career just to distract people from the fact that he is a bigot. But I mean, that's technically another story right there. But yeah, honestly, like, it is fascinating to see the success of Five Nights at Freddy's, and even the whole franchise of that next year is going to be the 10th anniversary of it, and it is still massively huge. And I think with this movie, love it or hate it, like, it started something massive. It started something big. So honestly, this might be the start of a new the new horror franchise for the big screen. How they're going to go and adapt the rest onto, how they're going to adapt like the other stories, how they're going to go and take more of the lore and really bring that to life. onto again the big screen and how fans are going to react. Well, honestly, we are going to go and wait and see on that. All right, so with that said, I would like to go to the chat wall, and now I want to ask you all, what do you all think about the big success of the Five Nights at Freddy's movie? And at the same time, I would like to know what you think about it. Did you enjoy the movie? Did you hate the movie? Or do you side with the fans, or do you side with the critics? I would love to know your thoughts on that. Okay, let's see now. While I myself haven't seen the movie, mostly because I'm not a FNAF fan, but regardless, it's still impressive that the movie managed to please the fans and give them what they want. So overall, this is definitely an accomplishment, and let's be honest, regardless of what you think of this movie, considering the huge amount of money this has made so far on a low budget, I think it's safe to say a sequel is going to be a guarantee. Oh yeah, I think the people at Jim Henson are currently working on the next batch of animatronics. I think, like, that's a given. Let's see now. I knew there were a lot of people who were interested in seeing Five Nights at Freddy's, but I didn't think it would, hold on a sec, I lost my track. There it is. But I didn't think it would be as big as it was. For me, I thought the movie was perfectly fine, but for fans of the game, it's sure to please them the most. As for the second weekend, I knew it was going to be a massive drop, but it doesn't really matter in the long run. For the sake of movie theaters and the box office, I'm glad it was able to attract a lot of audiences and become a massive success. Yeah, and this is also greatly beneficial for movie theaters as well, especially to go and encourage kids to come and go and watch something on the big screen. Like, if they love Five Nights at Freddy's, then now is a good time to go and support your local movie theater to go and check that movie out. And I mean, like, who cares if it had a big drop on the second box office? It did its mission, because Five Nights at Freddy's is supposed to be a Halloween movie. You know, it was made for the Halloween season, and debatably, maybe it would have gotten a bit more if it were released a bit earlier, like in mid-October or even like at the end of September. But really, the big thing about Five Nights at Freddy's is that it's meant for Halloween. It's supposed to be a big Halloween event. And now that Halloween is done, well, it served its purpose. And it more than made its money back on Halloween. So, honestly, like, it's all good. Like I said, you know, you could pretty much take it away from all movie theaters and, like, it would be perfectly fine because it made the money that it needed. Let's see. I saw this movie on Peacock, and it was as bad as another Blumhouse movie, The Exorcist Believer. I didn't find it scary, and the plot was underwhelming, for example, despite never playing the games before. However, I will respect this as being a box office success, but I will not look forward when it comes to the upcoming sequels. By the way, I saw Trolls 3 like you did on Saturday, and find it the weakest out there. Can't wait to see what bad rating you will give it when your review comes out. Yep, I can guarantee you that I'll have the review coming out on the same day as the official release of Trolls World Tour. And yeah, let's just say that it's been a long time since I've had that critic side of me really come out to go and like let me just lay it down to you about this movie. Okay, what else do we have here? I do think FNAF was just okay at best. I know the kids love it, and I'm okay with it because I do get them. I understand why they love it, although the best part about the movie was definitely the animatronics. They were done by the Jim Henson Company. That alone is worth seeing. But for your opinion on Trolls Band Together, I can confirm that this movie was just an absolute mess story-wise. Can't wait to see that review soon. Wow, I didn't expect that I would build up hype for the review. Okay, let's see. Any other comments? Good for Freddy and the gang for being a success. I never had the chance to see it because I didn't have much interest in the film. What I saw instead of Five Nights at Freddy's under the boardwalk in Houston and Glisten and the Merry Mission in Beaumont. Wouldn't blame you if you never heard of the latter. All right, fair enough. I think there is one more comment to read before we go and cap this off. I have seen the movie on a Discord server, and I think it's all right. The box office result they got is pretty well deserved, and huge kudos to Blumhouse for breaking numerous of records. And as for the release in theaters and on Peacock, Universal got to be laughing at Warner Brothers Discovery and be like, look at how much money we got from those releases. Well, I mean, to be fair, they did so with a movie that's just $20 million. Something that, I don't know, it's hard to imagine Universal to go and do. And with that said and done, that should do it for this episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. Hold on a sec, let me just put the title card back up. There we go. And man, what an episode! This is it. I feel like the spark is back. AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast is back in the position where I want to be. And I want to thank you all for joining me on this. Man, it feels great to be back on track. And also, I just want to say, if you would like to see more crazy adventures of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast, then don't forget to go and subscribe to the AniMat Live Twitch channel or onto the AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast YouTube channel. At the same time, don't forget to go and follow me on whatever podcast service you go and listen to, whether it be on Spotify, Amazon, Google, or iTunes. And with all that said and done, I would like to say thank you all so much for listening. Thank you all so much for watching. And until next time, see you later, dudes.